Hey, sickos, this is Bill, and this is Lee Rogers. Art noise cue. I'll put it in there for you.
Okay.
So, Lee came over to pick up some books and give away some more stuff for the Lee Rogers giveaways that we give away every top 10 new comic book day video. Thank you, Lee, for that. And everyone, I'm sure, is going to say thank you because whatever. I've been doing giveaways for 4 years now, and Lee was like, I want to do it because he wants to give back to the community. And I'm like, hey, okay, well, yeah, let's do it. So I appreciate it a lot, and I know you guys do too. So the reason we're here today is just trying to talk, just random talk. There's no script. There's nothing like that. And I don't know how long the video will be. I'll probably edit it. We're just trying it out. I kind of convinced Lee to do this. So what I wanted to talk about was the way people collect, kind of. And we were kind of talking about YouTube in general, how nothing against the way the new wave of YouTubers is coming in, but it's all about, in my mind, and I'll let Lee speak on it, it's all about the quick turn flip spec. Like what you can get in a bin if you're lucky, if you're a digger, right? Or and buy that's hot right now and then flip. And what I was trying to say was that there's all types of ways of collecting, and Lee agrees with that, but I feel like it's a little unfortunate for people that are actually trying to learn how to collect if they follow that way because of the way the market's manipulated and stuff like that, where people will, oh, this book is hot and it's in a bin and you can't find it in the bin, so you go to eBay and you buy it for 5 times the cost, and then you want to go flip it and it's already over with. So opposed to other ways of collecting. So we were just going to kind of talk about that a little bit. And nothing's wrong with it. It's fun to watch and stuff like that. But it's more, for me, it's more of this like pet peeve that I have where I want to help people learn how to collect the right way. We'll get a little bit more knowledge first before they start playing the roller coaster, just jumping right in. I think there's a lot of people out there that are new to the hobby that are watching these things and thinking that's how it goes. And I know there's a lot of other channels that you talk about that really talk about it in depth about older key spec, where you don't really have to spec because we know they're the first appearances and stuff like that. It's more about long-term holds and stuff like that, which I really like. And of course, I like new spec books that haven't even come out yet. What I do is I spec on pre-order stuff so you can buy it for cover price, and hopefully it hits, and it does a lot, and that's what I do. But I wanted to get the idea and perspective from Lee because he is your retired Special Forces, Lee, right?
Yeah.
He's out and about, okay? So he goes to all the places. Why don't you tell him a little bit of what you do on this during your day,
Well, first of all, I'm retired. I don't have to work. I was fortunate enough that once I got out of the military that I got into some overseas job where I made a lot of money, and I saved it all, and I invested it all, and I became debt-free. So then, but because I have OCD, I just couldn't sit at home. I was driving my wife crazy. So one of my friends says, you used to like comic books. Why don't you get back into that? Because the last time I collected a comic book was 1985. So, because then I was into my military career, amongst other things. So once I got back into that, it ended up being what I do now. And I had to learn the hard way too. But I'll be the first person to tell you that once I get stung a couple times, I'm not doing that anymore. So I found out that the best thing you can do is first of all, is get out of the short game. I mean, it's nice to be in the short game, but in the long term, it's about longevity. About the time tested stuff. And there's nothing wrong with dealing in the short game. But if you really collect what you like, no matter what other people say, if you like a comic book and it's worthless, then it's valuable to you. But in the long term, as an investment, if you want to get that on average 500% return, you have to collect high-grade comics that are keys, for whatever reason. They could just be cover keys, or they could be story keys, and you can make up. I've seen guys make up matrices of how to grade books, but But so I have the time. You cannot. People tell me all the time, you find all kinds of good books. Well, I don't have to depend on the income from those books in order to keep living, and pay my bills.
It's a hobby and a passion for you.
Yes, it's always been a passion, and I love getting back into it because I had to learn so much in such a short period of time. Think about this, guys. In 1985, there wasn't any slabbing companies, and if there was, they were just starting. And there wasn't a lot of variants at the time, and there wasn't a lot of independent comics. But now the market is just flooded with all these things, and you can get under a tsunami of information and things to collect and not to collect. So, one, stick to what you like to collect, and two, play the long game.
Let's talk about that for a second. So we're gonna touch both points because from what Lee, I have a couple ideas in my head. First, you said play the long game. What that means is you buy now and you hold.
Yes.
But he did say buy high grade. I will say this. It depends. Because older we go, the harder it is to get high grades. So you want to buy, if you can get it for a good price, even low grade stuff. I have a rule of thumb, Lee, which is like a 6.0. Like if I'm going to go...
You're absolutely right. Depends on what book you're talking about.
Yeah, but like Amazing Fantasy 15.
Yes.
Look, I don't have that type of money, right? I barely have any. But if there was a time where I was going to invest in it, I would have to get, in my world, a 6.0. But getting a 1.5 or anything like that, still, that's pretty cool. If you get Amazing Fantasy.
Oh,
I mean, I'm talking about the highest book that you can get. But like older books, 4.0, VG, I would try to stay at least a 4.0 or better on older books because the fact is, you aren't going to find high grade books of those anymore.
Absolutely
at all,
right.
Because they're gone and they're either destroyed or they've been moved around a lot. So in the long-term game, I just wanted to say that because you did say high grade, but I'm saying that's not
the highest grade you could possibly get.
Yeah, yeah. And if you can't and you want to just get something, either way, even in a low grade of a big book, let's say Giant Size X-Men #1, or whatever. Even if you get a low grade, eventually, if you're looking 20 years from now, it'll be worth more. Yeah. But Lee was saying to get out of the short game. Now, I will say something like this. What we see, the trend is, there's announcements all over, either YouTube, websites, apps. This movie got announced, or there's spec that this movie got picked up, or this character might appear. That is what creates the hype train. Okay, yes. And that's where everyone gets all their information. They get it from somewhere else, and then they report it, and then they report it, and it's on YouTube, and it's being reported from all over the place. Everyone uses their own information. So, and that's easy spec in my mind because you should know, in my mind, if you think Marvel's making movies for the rest of our lives, just buy every damn first appearance key you can before they even announce it. That's the smart move. But what the problem is that I think personally, the majority of the people that watch YouTube or speculators that are new to the hobby do not understand that when they see that alert, they go buy. Most of them go buy on eBay or something, and they're spending a shitload of money, and it dumps.
They're buying at the top of the market.
Yeah, because once that info's out there, it's already too late.
Yep.
Because the sellers have already raised their price because they got the alert too. Now, I used to do this like Lee. I used to pick, before all this, 10 years, 15 years ago.
That's how we met.
Yeah.
Well, Samurai, you were there for pick for New Comic Day, and you're going through bins.
Okay, I can't remember. I thought it was at the Glory Hole.
Yeah.
Over there on the... just joking. He's like, what? Oh, which Glory Hole? No.
You didn't. You said you wouldn't talk about that.
So, I'm saying yes. You new guys, right? And most people who are watching this are my guys, right? Hopefully other people will get this.
Well, that's what we're trying to do, is spread the word about...
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I want to spread the word and help people. That's why I started the channel, was to help people with new spec, new books, because there's such a crazy insanity. You couldn't... If a book was hot, the stores would hide the books and list them on eBay. And,
they kind of do that now.
Remember, you go, yeah, they still do it.
Yeah.
It hasn't ended, but we would go, I would see Lee in lines at comic book stores because we knew it was hot. This is before I owned my own store. And we would wait in line. And the first person in line would run and grab all the books off the shelf, and you want to kick his ass. And that's just how it was. Because there might have been price inflated. Anyway, the point I'm saying is you can make money doing this. But the only way to make money doing this, in my mind, there's two ways. Number one, you already have the book. So when it says, oh my God, this book's hot, you already have it. And then you sell it. Okay? Or number two, you have time and you hunt like Lee does. Lee does it for his passion, his hobby. But he uses all this information. He finds stuff for $1, $2, whatever.
Oh yeah, all the time. I just found What If Planet Hulk first appearance of Scar. I realize it's dropped, but when you find it in for 50 cents, you can't go wrong.
What grade is it in?
It was in high grade. I pressed it. It's a 9698.
Can I buy it from you? I have one. I have one myself. It's got a little. He always finds stuff and then tells me later. I'm like, dude, I'll trade you.
But when it was hot, there was no way I was going to buy it online or at the prices people were asking for. Now that as one guy says on another video, strike while the iron is cold. So I keep this information in the back of my head, and when I run across it, I go, yeah, I'll buy that for 50 cents. Even if it was in 7.0 condition, because I can't go wrong for 50 cents. Because I press and clean, and I know where I can get a book too. So, use these things in order to maximize your profit and improve your collection.
Yeah. And again, I have nothing against all the other videos that do this specifically because they know it's what's hot. And so they repeat lists or even made up lists
and I watch them all,
and he watches them all, and I say, oh dude, that was bullshit, or yeah, that was good, or whatever. I try to watch. I'm so busy. The point is, what I want to convey to all collectors is, do not go buy the shit on eBay or at a comic book store right after it hits the hot list. Only either have it already because you're smart and you really did research, or you buy all the keys early, right? Or wait.
Don't suffer FOMO.
Or go to where you can pick and find it for cheap. Those are the three options, because if you go to a comic book store, they already know and it's raised up. If you go to eBay, it's already raised up. You will get trapped in the dump. If you do this, if you do what we're saying, right? I believe you won't have to talk about a book dumping anymore, because it won't matter to you, because you saved yourself money. So I used to do videos before, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Right when Iron Man came out, right before Avengers, the first Avengers came out, I made a movie. Captain Marvel, blah, blah, blah. Captain America Holds the Shield book. Or the hammer. First Bucky. First, I went down the line of keys that have existed forever, right? And I said, buy these books now. You can go look back. And they all hit. Every one of them hit. And they still hold value. More, of course, than when I had said it initially. They might have come down a little bit, but I did it so long ago. That is so easy for you guys to do. Is to look ahead at all the big moments in a comic book history. Yep. Keys, little minor events, event books. Pick those up for cheap now. They will hit later. Just like Star Wars. Dude, right now, it doesn't matter what Star Wars. They have been printing Star Wars forever, right? The newer ones. Yeah. Every one of those are hitting now.
Yeah.
You could have owned those for years before this even happened. Years. Ashoka, everybody, right? Except for the new people like High Republic and stuff like that. You got to pre-order that stuff now. It will hit later because they're going to make that movie. Understand that. They're going to make either an animated series or a movie dealing with High Republic and like Jedi artifacts and shit like that that's just coming out now in High Republic. You can get that for cover price and hold it. But the other stuff you could have bought for cover price or less before. Now everything is ridiculous. You picked up, how many Ashokas did you pick up like last year?
Well, that was a few years ago, but was it? What was their first appearance? It was Star Wars Clone Wars #1. I was bin diving, and I found 4 copies of that. I pressed and cleaned them all. I kept the bet, and each one of them was $1. $1, So even at the time, a high grade was going for $50. Picked them up. Sure enough, they made some announcements. It took off, because the animation series was successful and all this stuff. So I kept the best one for myself. I wasn't greedy, and I actually sold the other 4 in less than an hour to a local comic shop at the time, and I gave the guy. I wasn't greedy about it, and I can't help it. I'm just not like this. I gave the guy 40% of the sale, and when the standard is 20 or 15. So he was more than willing to take the books. He called 4 people that he knew were looking for their book, and before I could leave the store, they came in and bought it.
And how much is that book now on a 9.8?
Oh, geez.
Is it $800 or is it
it's
more?
$800 or $900 at least.
So I mean, I don't really pay attention to that anymore because I'm too busy. But I think it's in that area.
Yeah.
But that's the point. Like, you can use your brain, and it's not that hard. Go buy an Overstreet price guide, right? And look through it and go, look at the silver and bronze, and look at the stuff that maybe hasn't hit. Just start collecting keys if you're a collector. Also, you can do it as a flipper. You have to buy early, and that's just the normal thing before it goes up. But don't follow the trend unless you have the ability to find them in dollar bins or you own the book, because you're going to bury yourself, and all you're going to ever do is talk about everything dumped.
Yeah.
If you're hunting like that and you're buying on eBay, everything will dump.
Yeah, just wait. Be patient. Look for stuff. Don't suffer from FOMO, and just keep looking. And I look more than almost anybody else, because this is
out here for sure.
Yeah, technically this is my job.
Yeah.
But I don't have to depend on any income from it. So every day I go out, I go to all the little bookstores and stuff. We have Zia Records out here, and there's like 6 of them. I go to a lot of them. Some of them I never go to at all because they overprice their stuff. Or I go to another one called Bookman's. And then I go to, I actually go to comic shops sometimes. Sometimes in those back 6-month walls, we have Samurai Comics out here. They forget. There isn't a comic shop, a bookstore, or someone that sells comics that hasn't made a mistake in their store. Happens all the time. It's just that you got to be in the right place at the right time.
Well, you also have some stores that, unfortunately, the key here word is comic book stores. So some stores, if they make the mistake and you bring it up, they go, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's wrong."
Yeah.
And then they go on the sites that you guys are doing. "Oh, $2? No, I'm sorry, that's $70." So, that also depends on the store.
Yes.
But it has to do with the pick. You can still pick comic book stores, but my advice is, if you're picking a comic book store, don't pick what's hot. Go look for other keys that you think will hit later, like other Star Wars stuff, other symbiote stuff, other Marvel, DC first appearances, little things that haven't hit yet, but they're gonna come. Everything will come.
Yeah, you just have to be patient. And a lot of people, it comes down to the time. I spend a lot of time out there looking through stuff. Comic shops are probably the last one I go to look for. But while I'm in there, why not look around?
Sure.
But by and far, I always strike while the iron is cold. People put out stuff. The record stores that sell comics, the bookstores that sell comics, they just have a guy who manages it. And he may recognize some things, but he
probably big books.
Yeah, but they miss stuff all the time. And a perfect example is that one we just talked about, that What If Planet Hulk #1. First appearance of Scar, the son of the Hulk, and that was super hot. And at the time, if a comic book guy was working in a used bookstore and saw that, he would know it was worth some money. But time went by, over a year, and no one really pays attention to it anymore. And that's when I come in and I swoop in, and if I'm lucky enough, I can find those things. Because like Billy just mentioned, I I watch a lot of other things, but I don't trust them. But what I do is I use that information so that I can keep it in the back of my head. So when I come across a comic, I go, this one's worth something. I can't remember exactly why. And I'll pick it up, and then I'll look it up. And either I'll know, or I'll say, well, I just look it up right then and there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm picking that one up for 50 cents.
Yeah, even though I'm not 100% behind every type of spec video or whatever, I understand it. So what I think we're both trying to say is use it to your advantage, but use it the right way. Because my concern, I tell Lee all the time, is I worry about the 80% of collectors that are on YouTube that don't understand and are falling into the hole. And those are the ones that always complain.
And they lose a lot of money.
And they lose a lot of money. That is not how you play the game if you want to play the game. Period. Always, also, the other tip I would get about big keys. Right now is a good time to buy big keys, I think.
The comic market is just it's a microcosm of the actual economy, and the economy's not going to. We're headed in some really hard times, and some people like to still try to promote that the comic market has settled. No, it hasn't. It's going to crash even more. I see it every day on eBay. I can't even begin to talk about the number of stuff I picked up on eBay. Great deals.
Yeah, he scores great deals, and I agree with him too.
But you got to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, I agree with him to a certain point.
Yeah.
I think the economy is going down, and look, it's not 10 years ago. Everything's more expensive either way. Okay,
yes.
You missed your chance, but right now might still be a good time to buy bigger keys. It's going to be more, but it's been 10 years. Okay. And it's definitely going to be less than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is if you've been hunting for a Hulk 181 or a Harley 12 or
New Mutants 98 now has gone down 42%.
And a thing with a book like that, and this is a video we could do forever, is New Mutants 98, Amazing Spider-Man 361 Carnage, ASM 298, 299. I know those are minor keys, but they're not ASM 300, but they're big. ASM 252, Secret Wars 8 might be a little hotter than normal. But those books you can still get for a decent price.
They'll always be worth money.
Yeah, long term. For some reason, most likely ASM 361 and New Mutants 98, or ASM 361 in particular, First Carnage, it just was so printed. That's my guess as why. Oh, we got some comic books. You tell them, Chloe. It's okay, Chloe. It was so overprinted. That's why it never really gets over a couple $100 unless it's slabbed. I like to buy my stuff raw and have Lee press it or myself press it. That's another thing that we could really talk about here is if you have the time, learn how to press. Because that will change your world completely if you're trying to become a flipper and really improve your markup on things. If you can buy, let's say, a ASM 361, right? First Carnage. If you can buy one and you see it and it looks like a 8.0, okay? I'm giving an example. 8.0 because there's some, not dings, but imperfections, some little things that you can fix and turn it into a 9.6.
What we call pressable defects.
Pressable defects. Even though that is, that word, that name bothers me because a defect is unfixable.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah. So this shit bothers me. But anyway, pressable defects that you know that you can fix by pressing it. Do it. Learn how it's not that expensive. There's plenty of groups out there. I know plenty of groups that are like the best in the world for pressing. I can send you over there and you can get in and learn everything. Yeah. Or teach yourself by watching videos. That is the real dream, I think, the best way.
Yes. I knew nothing about it when I got back into this, and I was paying other people to press and clean comics. That's expensive.
And it's a ripoff.
Yes.
I'm not saying about other people like Lee or something, but I'm going to be straight with you. 100%. What I've learned in the business, and I've been doing this a long time, CGC Quick Press is a ripoff. Sorry, CGC.
Because you don't get to see the results of how they pressed it.
And the quick press and the normal press are two different prices, and they're the exact same press. They don't do anything different. And they say clean and press. It's not a clean like a professional would sit down and clean a comic. It's just a quick whatever. It's a way to get your money, more of your money. So learn how to do that. And within 1 or 2 books, you've already paid for all the presses you could ever do by learning how to do it yourself.
You're going to make... I learned.
And it's fun.
You're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn what to do, what not to do. And my favorite thing about pressing and cleaning, my saying is, no 2 people that press and clean do it. The principles are the same, but no 2 people do it exactly the same. And that other rule, if it looks stupid but it works, then it's not stupid. So
yeah, it's not. I mean, dude, I don't know how many books I have personally turned it from, an 8.5, 9.0 to 9.6, 9.8 with ease.
Oh yeah, here's a perfect example of how I use my knowledge about pressing and cleaning and how to make a huge profit in a short period of time. There's a local comic shop here, and he had 5 copies of Spawn 174th, first full appearance of Gunslinger Spawn. All right, which I was jonesing for.
And he didn't give me one.
I'll give you something.
That's the one I want. When he said 174, I was like,
yeah.
Because I have 175. I love the 175.
Yeah, so I bought this comic from the guy Raw. I looked at all 5. I looked at the one I thought I could improve the best without having defects. And I purchased that one from him for $250. And here's where my pressing and cleaning came in too. He wanted $300, and I know the guy, so he's giving me a little small discount, but not much. And I said, how about if I give you $250, I'm gonna give you 5 free presses, and I charge $15 a comic, and he knows I do a good job. So he's actually making more money back than what he, So, anyways, so I take the comic. I bought it for $250. I pressed it twice. I pressed it 3 times. I cleaned it. I pressed it 3 times, and I worked on the defects. Pressed it again. Then I brought it into Billy because it never hurts to have another set of eyes get on a comic because you look at what you want to see. So when you get a stranger in like Billy is one of the best graders I know. He looked at it and he says, "Yeah, you missed this," and he goes, "But He goes, and I want it."
And he said no.
And I said no. So, long story short, I send it in. I get it back. It's a 9.8. 9.8s are now going for $900 to $1,000. So, already quadrupled.
And that's one of the biggest Spawn books there is, besides the Spawn era and stuff like that.
Easily.
There's another thing of advice that I think you guys, if you're really trying to learn and get into this, many of you already know, this is something that if I had the time, if I wasn't running the store and the YouTube and all this is what I would do, Lee, and I don't know if you do it already. So, let's give an example. Batman Adventures 12, first Harley Quinn, right?
Yep.
9.8 is like, what, $3,000? I don't even know what it's at right now.
It's ridiculous.
So, what I like to do is, I like to look on eBay for 9.0s and 9.2s. And I then slabbed. And then I look for old labels. Now, you can figure out what an old CGC slab looks like and a new one by the label, by the front and back of it. It's something you can learn yourself. I don't need to teach you. But if you find an old label, okay, which means it was graded 10, 15, 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, most likely it wasn't pressed. That's the first thing you guys need to know. It's one of the things I've always wanted to do. I don't have time. Then you look at the pictures real well. If you see ripples or anything, no color breaks, but you see like a little bend or, most of the time it's waves or little indents that
those are easily pressable.
Yeah, and that's why it got a 9.2, because someone didn't press it. So you buy it for cheap, a 9.2 compared to a 9.8. You crack it, you press it, you give it to someone that you trust to press it, and you turn that thing to a 9.6 or 9.8, and you have just made a shitload of money.
Yep. I'll give you a perfect example.
That's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. When I got back into this like 4 or 5 years ago, I had a old collection. So I had a Hulk 181. I had 180, 181, and 182. So I didn't educate myself. I knew there was there was slabbing services, and I said, okay, I'm going to just send these in and get them slabbed. All right. I didn't press them. I didn't clean them. I just sent them in. and they come back. The 180 came back a 9.0. The 181 came back an 8.5, and the 182 came back 9.0. Now, I didn't press or clean these things. I took care of them because I bought them off the shelf as a kid. But think about this: if I've looked at that 8.5, somewhere down the line, I'm going to crack it open. I'm going to clean it and press it and send it back in. In my opinion, it's going to get at least a 9.2, if not higher. And the difference between an 8.5 on a 181 and a 9.2 is huge, absolutely huge. So there's a perfect example of what Billy was just talking about.
And on new books, for example, David, we don't know where Mother Goose is. He's disappeared off
He's missing in action.
Planet of the Earth. But hey, David, if you're watching this, hey, call me. He had the First Miles 1 in 25. I did a video on that where he wanted me to crack it and fix it. I think it was a 7.5 or I can't remember, but I think I got a bump and a half on it.
Oh my God, that's like...
I mean, it was still in the VF plus after.
Still.
But just from minor things, and I could have probably pressed it more. But that's another thing in new books. There's going to be a lot of like 9.6s out there, which basically castrate a book. If you have a 9.8 of a new book and it's selling for a lot of money, that's good. But that 9.6, one drop below, it's cover price in a slab. That's how bad it is on new books. So that's another thing. If you can buy a 9.6 of a really hard book to find, it's not a spine-breaking color tick because it should be less than that if it is. And you should be able to press that 9.6 to a 9.8 no problem.
Yeah.
Depending, because if it's just a little drop like that, it's something very insignificant.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another way. But I think that, to me, that's the favorite part. I eventually, that's what I want to do, Lee, is buy slabbed old and crack it.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got the skills and everything, too.
But I was saying, it's not hard for them to learn that.
Yeah. On another note, on modern books, don't waste your time. This is just my personal opinion. If I have a new book that's hot, what was the last hot one that I got? That Miles Morales had the Raza cover with all the television screens on it, really dark. It's black and red.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was hitting off, and it's still worth some money.
Is it a exclusive?
No. It was a regular cover. I think it was a B cover. But anyways, don't quote me. But I bought 4 of those because I just liked the cover, and it ended up hitting really hot because I think it's the first appearance of Billy Morales.
Okay.
Morales. Anyways, so unless you can get 9.6, 9.8s in modern books like that, don't send them in because it's only the 9.6 and 9.8s. Once you go below that, and it's not a super key of some, and Billy Morales is a key, but it's not a super key. The price just starts dropping down. Yeah, not yet.
That's a long-term book.
Yeah, but if in short term, 9.6 and 9.8s, what do you want? Because in the long term, it's still a 9.6 or a 9.8. Yeah. So
plus the print runs now are a lot bigger.
Yeah. Paper's horrible on some of these newer Marvel.
That's another thing I
books.
want to talk about. I see a lot of channels talking about low print comics that I've never even heard of, and I've been doing it forever, and it's a good time to go buy those. First of all, it might be hard to find them.
Yep.
The only place you probably could buy it is on eBay because there might be only 1 or 2 available, which means you will lose money as soon as you buy it. So I would stay away from stuff like that unless it's something that you really love. That's just so crazy that you have to have it and you just heard about it.
Again, don't suffer FOMO.
Yeah. Except I can't speak enough about pre-orders. That's why I do what I do. Trying to spec on new pre-orders so you can get it for $3, $4.
I order from you every week.
I know.
And yours is the video I pay attention to. I don't pay attention to anybody else.
Well, not many people do it, and if they do a pre-order video, they don't put a lot of spec into it. It's more about just reading every cover that's available. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah.
They just kind of read off the list instead of like...
They don't read the book.
Deep dive. Well, that's another thing. And that's something I've included, which takes up a shitload of time, but I really am starting to get interested in it. Look, I'm an old collector. I mean, when I was a kid, I was collecting rocks. I moved to baseball cards, and I was big into that. Then I got into autographs, movie stars. I love that shit. Then I started collecting kung fu movies, old movies. And then, of course, comics were along the way in there that kind of went away when I grew up and I started liking girls and stuff like that, You guys can go talk to girls. Just put a comic book down and go talk to her. After I was done killing it for a couple of, a while, and the sports was over with, I got back into collecting because I love art. And, of course, I'm a collector. So just like baseball cards, I want the first appearances. And I have a massive collection. I don't even...
One of the best I've seen.
I don't show it. I don't show it much. But it's away. It's put away. I don't even mess with it. Except once in a while, I'll go look at it. And you just have to build. You go to a comic book store, you see a 361 on the wall for $100. It's in a 9.2 condition. You can fix it up later. Just buy the damn thing, put it away, fix it up later. In 20 years, Carnage it's going to be more.
Oh, yeah.
Deadpool's going to be more.
Now,
Gambits are hard to find. The 266.
Prices may go up and down, but those books will always be worth money. Now, how much money? But they're always going to be worth more than when you bought it.
I'm trying to speak to the people that have $100 or $200 to throw down at a comic store. Now, if you're a big baller, sometimes I see a book and I want to spend a G on it. Like right now, there's a book at one of my comic stores. It's NYX number 3, 9.8. First X-23. I love that character. I already have one. I think he's asking with the discount around $12.50 or something like that. I want to go down there with $1,000 and say I'll give you $1,000 for it. I don't have time, and I want to hold my money a little bit. Right, that's a lot of money, but that's a book that $1,000 is a good investment. I think long term.
Again, the average price on the correct or the right amount of grails and key collectors and ones that are popular, it beats the stock market, and they've done study after study of this by 500%. You're beating blue chip stocks. That's like if you bought Amazon when they first came out. You're still beating that with the right comics. So that's another thing. If you really want to, snipe at the right times, is instead of buying a lot of books for the month or something, and you want to start collecting those keys, save up some money, just like Billy said, and get that one key once every quarter, once a year, whatever. You're not going to go wrong on that.
You can even work with your comic book stores as well.
Payments.
I mean, some will hold books for you. I have everyone knows I'm a comic book store, but my local store that I like the best is called Greg's Comics out here. He's always putting Mark Jewelers in my box, and I get over there and a couple months later, and I have like $300 of Mark Jewelers. It's just because I'm a whole. They're not even worth that much, but it's some little weird thing I have. But you develop a good relationship with your LCSs. Get a book. They have the book. I would like to make payments on it. Get it locked into a price now, just in case, right? And say I can give you $100 a week till we're done, or a month. Whatever. Most of the shops will do that, and you can start building if you don't have a lot of money. The truth is, though, Lee, most of the people that watch me, and maybe new people that are watching this video because of what it is about, most people that watch, we're older adults. Well, some of us are
much older.
Some are, retired. Some are 40s, 50s, 60s. We're the people that have money. So I'm not. Most of us have money. Some money. I mean, I'm just barely starting to build my empire, which is very small. But I just have comics.
I just like to say, I wish there was this technology didn't even exist when I was collecting. Educate yourself. I wish I would have had something like this to have, old timers or people that are in the know and that would give me this kind. I would have paid money for this kind of information because I wasted so much money as a kid, and I didn't have much of it, on comics that I never should have bought, even when I was 8 years old. But now, with all this stuff, educate yourself. It does take 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Man, the more information the better you're going to get at the game.
I think it's so interesting because same with me. For baseball cards, there was Beckett magazine, and for comics, there was the Overstreet, right? And so you would buy an Overstreet every year, and you would see it go up just a little bit, right? There was increase in value on keys, but we collected keys based on that book and stuff we liked, of course, that turns out later. Now, it's this is hot, this is hot, this is hot, this is hot. This you are getting because of the internet, right?
Yep.
And everything. No one learned how to collect. The new people do not know how to collect.
Yeah.
The older people, most people that are my age or Lee's or whatever, watching this, yeah, we know, Bill, shut up. But we're trying to reach out to everybody right now and just kind of have a little talk, like a sit down real quick. We're pretty much done. But just kind of through the minds of two different generations, two different styles of collecting, even though I've collected like Lee has in the past.
And I've collected like Billy, but we're not the same when it comes to how we go about doing these things. I mean, no two people are going to be the same, you know, because I collect stuff Billy could care less about, and Billy collects stuff I could care less about.
No, I don't.
Like Department of Truth, I own no Department of Truth because I'm not interested in it.
Well,
and even though some of them are worth some good money. Now, if I run across a Department of Truth in a bin for 50 cents, yeah, I'm going to buy it.
Well, the only reason here's what Lee doesn't understand is I didn't collect the whole thing. I collected the number ones. Yeah. That's rule of thumb, guys, is buy number ones. I don't care what Lee said. Buy all independent number ones. Maybe not all Marvel and bullshit like that, but independent number ones, because of the way this market is right now, everything's getting picked up movie-wise, you know, James Tinian and all this shit. Get a number one. It's only going to cost you $4.
No,
Get
Billy's
one.
absolutely right.
You know,
when I started collecting all this, I used that as one of my rules. You can't really, if you don't pay a lot of money for it, you know, I picked a perfect example. You know, when I started, like 3 years ago, I saw a number one, The Authority. It was in good shape, and I was pressing and cleaning at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'll pick that up, and it was totally worthless. But one, I wanted to practice on it, and two, it was a number one. So I pressed and cleaned it, put it up, completely forgot about it. I knew I had one in there somewhere. And then what happened recently? You know, everyone wants that one now. You know, and I sent it in. It came back a 9.8, and I'm gonna sell it because I'm not interested in it. But
me either.
but
I get it.
I'm gonna get my money for it, and then other people can spec whether it's in. Never. Oh, that's another thing we should talk about. Never have what they call seller's regret. Oh, if I held on to that book, it'd be worth $1,000.
That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have that. I've sold complete Iron Man collection, complete Avengers collection, almost complete FF collection. I've had 4 runs of X-Men 94 to complete.
But at the time, did you feel you got a good deal?
No, what I was saying is at that time I was compiling collections and flipping them.
Oh,
now if I would have waited 5 years, I could be a millionaire, dude. That's what seller's remorse is. So yes,
but he's
don't
only
have
talking
it.
about the winners. What about all those comics you sold that didn't ever come to anything?
I don't sell. That's not. This is economics in comics, not moron in comics. What the fuck? Buy garbage. I've been doing this too long.
Look, there's other guys like Billy. You know, there's a dude I was watching a video on, and he only sells these really high-end comics, and he collects high-end comics, and he makes like $300,000.
I'm a hoarder. I don't sell them.
Yeah, but he flips. He buys expensive and sells
I know who
expensive.
you're talking about.
But he had 25 copies of Hulk 181, and at the time he sold them for $100 a piece because that's a little bit less than fair market value, and he thought he got a deal. But you can't. Who knew?
I got remorse here. So there's another thing. Don't dig a hole for yourself. I'm gonna make an example.
Oh, I know.
I collected baseball cards too, right? Basketball cards specifically. I bought 2 LeBron James back when he was a rookie. SPX signed auto limited to.
Oh my God, those things are worth.
Limited.
I don't know nothing about cards.
I can't remember what it was limited to. $750, I think. Limited to $750. SPX back then, that was one of the bigger ones. They were $1,000 each. I bought them. I got into money trouble because I lost a job, and I sold them. Okay, I made a couple $100. This is a year after his rookie year. Just recently, each one of those sold for $50,000.
Yep.
I had 2. Don't buy when you can't buy. Even if it's a good buy, I'm sorry. If you need to pay some other bill, just stay out of debt. Stay out of debt. I had debt following me for 20 years because of my addiction to collection. And I've had half of you still have debt following you because of your addiction to collection. So, once you get yourself out of debt, then it's fun again. It's fun again. And be responsible, I think, is very important.
Oh, yeah, don't get yourself in debt again.
And that's what I'm saying.
This
FOMO will make it so you fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Get the biggest bang for your buck and don't suffer FOMO and do not get in debt buying comics. For that matter, it's almost anything.
And sometimes it's really easy to do too, man.
I know.
It's not, I played the credit card game was my problem. I mean, I had unlimited amounts for some reason. My credit was so good. I had 20,000 on one card, and I had like 5 cards. So I had access. So I would buy and then resell and try to pay off the cards. It never works that way, man. You always
credit.
Yeah, before you know it, you're playing the 0% hop around game and you're in debt up your ass. So I got out of that, thankfully. Thank God. Yeah, you just got to be careful. Out of everything, I think what we'd say, and I think everyone would say, is be smart.
Be patient.
Yeah.
Nobody knows everything. I know Billy knows a lot.
No.
And I know another guy that knows a lot, but they don't know everything. I always like to say I know enough about comics to be dangerous.
Sure.
So, but I know what I know, and I'm continually trying to learn every single day, and so that I can educate myself and maximize my profit, spend less and maximize my profit, and in the long term. And that's another reason I can do what I do is since I have no debt, that's why I want to give back to the community. We all know horror stories about the comic community. I see it almost on a daily basis. I want to be able to make it affordable for other people, kids, people who collect comics. And, I sell comics, and I rarely sell a comic for fair market value. I always sell my comics on average 25 to 40% off fair market value because I feel like I'm giving back to the community. Or in these giveaways, I come across these comics, I clean and press them, and then I can just give them the ability to give to you guys, and I feel like, and because I can afford to, and I feel like I'm giving back to the community, and that's what it's all about. It really is about, we're a community. It's small. So, be kind to one another. And I don't know how many good deals I got because I was fair with people or I developed a relationship with people. And that's what it's all about. And then it's going to come back to you tenfold. Easily. We're talked out.
I'm done. Well, hopefully you guys liked this video. We just thought, I convinced Lee to sit down. I thought it'd be interesting. We just want to help. That's what my channel's about. My early spec on new books, and every once in a while something else fun. And we just want to give you some tips.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff we didn't talk about. Maybe in the future you guys are really interested.
Variants and all that other shit. Yeah.
Well, and ratios. Other things about the collecting that we talk about this for days.
Yeah.
But anyways, this will be the first one. If you guys want more, I guess Billy can make another one.
Okay. Well, thank you, Lee Rogers, giveaway. I did a couple more. Don't worry, I added the sound, I'm sure, when I'm editing. We'll let you guys go. I got to get back to work. They delivered some stuff about 30 minutes ago.
All right, thanks for watching.
And we'll see you later.
Yep, bye.